Silnatha's seas shimmered beneath the twin suns, tides pulsing with electric biolight as translucent marine blooms drifted across the surface. The platform settlement of Marin's Rise stood on stilts above the reef line, a quiet haven of science and peace, until the day the enforcers came. Vieira was in the middle of adjusting the flow regulators at Sector Delta 9 when the stormcrafts arrived. Their wings beat hard against the humid air, casting shadows over the ocean below. She barely turned before the enforcers gripped her arms, their gloves cold and without explanation. Vieira Solen, the lead enforcer declared, his voice amplified through the mask. You are under arrest for crimes against the planetary water systems of Silnath. She stared at him, speechless. There must be a mistake. No words. You will be tried by the evening court. Within hours, Vieira sat shackled in the dark stone chamber beneath Magistrate Alvin's hall. The air smelled of salt and iron. Her son, Nail, watched from the upper balcony, barely able to believe the speed of it all. His mother, who never raised her voice, never left a tool out of place, now accused of poisoning the very water she spent her life protecting. This court has reviewed the telemetry logs, Alvin intoned, eyes unreadable. Anomalous surges in regulator Delta 9 coincide with your work shift. Unexplained microbial corruption. I didn't do it, Vieira whispered. I wouldn't endanger the water. It's our life. Your intent is not on trial. Only your effect. The ruling is, guilty. You will be sent to Karnas. Nail's voice cracked the silence. She didn't do it. You didn't even let her explain. Alvin's gaze flicked up. Remove him. Rough hands pulled Nail back as Vieira was led away, her eyes meeting his one last time, full of unspoken apologies. Hours later, Nail sat curled in the rusted corners of his mother's old workshop, trying not to cry. The sea outside rolled on, uncaring. Footsteps approached. Telora, older now and wrapped in deep green robes, stepped into the light. Nail. I don't have long. They're watching me. He looked up, eyes red. They took her. Said she broke the system. But she didn't. Telora nodded slowly. I know. I have something for you. From her satchel, she drew a small, transparent crystal, no larger than a thumbnail. It shimmered with inner fire. This was intercepted data. She was tracking a fault in the system, but her logs vanished after submission. This is a backup. Hidden. Encrypted. I couldn't risk transmitting it. You'll need someone who can read it. Someone who's not on their radar. Nail took it with trembling fingers. I'll find someone. I swear. I won't let them bury her. As Telora vanished into the misty twilight, Nail made his vow beneath the singing stars of Silnath. He would tear apart whatever veil of silence and lies condemned his mother. And he would not stop until the stars heard her truth. That night, sleep didn't come. Nail rummaged through his mother's belongings, searching for any hint she may have left behind, a note, a map, another backup. Instead, he found something else, a diary, partially scorched at the edges. The last few pages detailed strange system behaviors, rising salt content in purified water, and an unsigned message, if they silence me, follow the current. Nail whispered the words over and over, then stared out at the currents below. The ocean knew things. It carried secrets in its tides. In the following days, Nail moved like a shadow. He stopped going to school. He wore his hood low, his face down. He asked old traders at the docks if they knew a data runner named Jiro. Most waved him off, some warned him to stop asking. But an old cleaner at the turbine ring took pity. Jiro don't like visitors, she said, spitting oil into a drain. But you got desperate eyes. Try the spillway tunnels. Near the broken helix gate. Nail went that same night. Winds whipped the walkways, and rain hissed through the cracks. He climbed down rusted ladders, crawled beneath sparking cables, and reached the spillway, a gaping tunnel where runoff flowed into the reef channels. "You lost?" a voice asked from the dark. Nail flinched. A figure emerged, eyes glinting under a ragged cowl. The man was thin, one eye replaced with a flickering lens. Scars ran down his jaw. "I need help," Nail said, voice shaking. "I have something, encrypted. From my mother. She was framed. I think it's proof." Jiro said nothing at first. Then he stepped closer and held out his hand. Nail placed the crystal in his palm. "This will take time," Jiro muttered. "And it's dangerous. But..." He studied Nail. "You've got her eyes. Stubborn and scared. Fine. I'll help. But if we do this, we don't stop halfway. You ready for that?" Nail nodded. "Then follow me. We have ghosts to awaken." As they vanished into the tunnel's shadows, the ocean above sang with coming storms. And Nail took his first true steps toward vengeance. Rain lashed the lower rings of Silnath as Nail crouched in the depths of the spillway tunnels, watching Jiro work by the dim glow of a hollowed terminal. It had taken 3 days of silence, cryptic mutterings, and strange bursts of data to even begin scratching the surface of the encrypted crystal. Jiro worked with twitchy precision, his gloved hands dancing over a mix of stolen tech and scavenged cores. He didn't speak often, but when he did, it was sharp and low. "They used quantum masking," he muttered one night, eyes flicking between projection screens. "Military level. Not civic systems. Someone didn't just hide this, they buried it." Nail leaned in, heart pounding. "Can you break it?" "I can break anything. But you better be ready for what we find." That night, Jiro unlocked the first fragments. Grainy footage, telemetry logs, and system diagrams spilled out like scattered glass. Nail saw familiar timestamps, his mother's last reports. Only now, her final submission was intact. "Look here," Jiro pointed. "Your mother flagged anomalies in the purification stream days before the event. She documented rising metallic compounds and energy surges consistent with external interference. Someone was tampering with the regulator, someone who had access beyond her clearance. Then why did they blame her?" Jiro's eye lens flickered. "Because she noticed. Because she spoke up. They had to make her the fall." Nail's fists clenched. Who? Who was behind it?" Jiro hesitated. Then he tapped a file marked with restricted council tags. "You want names? This is where we start. But if you open this, they'll know you did." Nail stared at the symbol glowing on the screen, a 3-pointed star with a red slash through it. "Do it," he said. "I need to know." Jiro touched the command. An encrypted archive burst open. Names. Accounts. Directives. And at the center of it all, Colonel Draven. "Military Resource Director," Jiro whispered. "Not supposed to be anywhere near civilian systems. But look, he authorized test protocols involving Regulator Delta 9. Unauthorized power siphoning from the hydrocore. Your mother wasn't sabotaging it. She was stopping a military theft." Nail's breath caught. He condemned her. He let them send her away. He did more than that. He erased her findings. He rewrote logs. That's high treason if it ever sees sunlight. But before they could process the rest, an alarm chirped in Jiro's console. "They're here," Jiro snapped. "They traced the access. We've got minutes." Nail grabbed the data core, heart hammering. "Where do we go?" "I know a place. An old sanctuary in the ruins. Follow me." They ran. Through rusted tunnels, past dormant machines, and into the lower ruins, remnants of an ancient research colony swallowed by coral reefs and overgrowth. There, amidst the broken columns and sea-slick stones, a hidden chamber waited. Inside, candlelight flickered over crystal glyphs. A robed figure knelt in silence. "Seer Vaila," Jiro said breathlessly. "We need sanctuary." The seer turned, her face veiled in shimmering cloth. "The currents warned me of your arrival. The storm follows you." Nail stepped forward. "My name is Nail Solen. My mother is in prison for a crime she didn't commit. I have proof. But they're hunting us." Vaila rose and motioned them inward. "The sea does not forget truth. Nor does it forgive lies. Come. You must understand what justice truly means." She led them deeper, into a chamber where tides lapped the floor and glowing sea vines danced in silence. Vaila dipped her fingers into the water. "You seek vengeance, young one. But vengeance clouds justice. What do you truly want?" Nail answered without hesitation. "I want to clear my mother's name. And I want the one who buried her to face the light." Vaila studied him. "You will have both, but not without cost. There are truths buried so deep they corrupt the digger. If you are to survive this, you must hold fast to love. Not fury. What do I do next?" She pointed to the core. Within that data is a voice log. One Colonel Draven never intended to be heard. It names others. It reveals more than sabotage, it reveals betrayal at the highest level. If you make it public, you will ignite war. If you do nothing, your mother dies forgotten. Nail's hands trembled. Jiro stared. "We can send this to the council. Bypass Silnath completely. And they'll bury it," Vaila said. "Unless you show them the soul behind the data. Take the truth to the people. Awaken them. That is the path." Outside, the storm grew louder. And the first drones entered the ruins. "They found us," Jiro whispered. Vaila pressed a hand to Nail's heart. "Run. But not forever. The tide turns when one voice becomes many." As they fled into the reef-choked dark, Nail carried more than data. He carried purpose. And he would not let it die in silence. They stayed hidden for 2 days. Nail barely slept, his body pushed to its limits. Jiro rigged a signal blocker from old comm relays to throw off the search parties. But it was a matter of time. When the drones returned, they came with more than cameras. One of them carried a voice message, projected across the ruins like thunder. "Nail Solen. Surrender yourself. Telora Ven is now in custody. She will be tried for obstruction and treason. You are to cease all resistance." Nail staggered. "They arrested Telora? Because of me?" Jiro nodded grimly. "They're cornering you. Making it personal. They're betting you'll come running." Nail felt rage twist inside him, but Vaila's warning echoed, "Hold fast to love. Not fury." "We need to move," Jiro said. "I know someone who can get us off-world. We'll need to reach the outer docks. And we have to move fast." Nail looked back at the hidden chamber. The candles still burned. "We're not running," he said. "We're delivering the truth." As they slipped into the alleys of the reef-tier docks, cloaked in rags and silence, a city above still turned blind eyes. But Nail's heart had changed. He wasn't just his mother's son anymore. He was a storm waiting to break. Night fell like a shroud as Nail and Jiro slipped aboard the supply freighter bound for Karnas. Its hull was blackened by age and corrosion, its crew hollow-eyed and indifferent. The ship bore no markings, only a glowing sigil etched onto the rusted cargo doors, a glyph of exile. Jiro pulled the hood over his head and passed forged documents to the quartermaster. "We're maintenance techs," he muttered. "Contracted for the Karnas deep core drills." No one asked questions. Not on ships bound for prison worlds. Karnas hung like a bruised orb in space, its surface jagged with volcanic scars, its atmosphere thin and perpetually storm-racked. Every few hours, firestorms rolled across the hardened plains, forcing even the prison towers to retract into deep shafts. From orbit, Nail could see the massive crater pits carved into the rock. They weren't just prisons. They were labor colonies. Jiro leaned beside him. If she's alive, she's in the mines. They send the broken ones there. No records, no release dates. Nail swallowed hard. We get in. We find her. We get out. And we pray the warden hasn't thrown her into the lava flows yet. When they landed, Karnas greeted them with ash winds and silence. Automated sentries scanned their IDs and waved them through. The freighter crew vanished into the docking bay. Nail and Jiro followed a line of workers into the undershaft elevators. Sector 9, Jiro whispered. There's someone there. A contact. Who? A prisoner. Name's Karen. Ex-rebel. Got caught smuggling off-worlders years ago. She knows the inner mines. And she owes me a favor. Sector 9 smelled of fire and metal. The walls dripped with sulfur. Guards stood at watchpoints with rifles etched in black runes. Nail kept his eyes low as Jiro approached the prisoner staging queue. Karen, Jiro said softly. She turned. Her hair was shorn close, her face streaked with soot, but her eyes were sharp, bright amber against the dull gloom. A scar ran from temple to jaw, but it didn't mar her presence. If anything, she wore it like defiance. Jiro, she said, half a laugh. You finally crawled back to the edge. I need you, he said. We're here for someone. Vieira Solen. She was transferred here months ago. Karen's smirk vanished. I know that name. The quiet one. Hydrosystems worker. Didn't talk much. Nail stepped forward. She's my mother. Karen studied him, something flickering in her eyes. She's alive. Barely. They're killing her in shifts. Nail's throat tightened. Karen looked to Jiro. You got gear? Just enough. We brought a path in. We need a path out. There's a service tunnel, she said. Beneath Furnace Line 4. The old ventilation grid. It hasn't been mapped in years. But it connects to the cargo shaft. If we can get to it, we can ride a dump hauler to the surface. How do we reach her? Karen turned. Follow me. What followed was hours of crawling through ducts, evading sensors, and descending deeper into the mine catacombs. Molten light pulsed through the cracks in the stone, casting shadows like flickering ghosts. They reached cell block 8-4. Karen tapped a guard on the shoulder with a steel pipe. He didn't get up. 1 minute, she said. Find her. Nail moved past the groaning door, heart in his throat. And there she was. Curled on a cot of rusted metal, bruised, skeletal, but unmistakably her. Vieira Solen. His mother. Mom, he whispered. Her eyes fluttered open. It took her a moment to believe what she saw. Nail. He ran to her, cradling her gently. I'm here. I found you. We're getting you out. You shouldn't be here, she said, voice hoarse. They made a mistake. And I'm going to fix it. Behind them, Karen stepped in. Time's up. We move. Vieira tried to stand. Her legs gave out. Nail lifted her. I've got you. Alarm started. Go, Jiro shouted. They raced through the corridors, down molten-lit shafts, across catwalks trembling with explosions. Guards swarmed the levels above. Karen fired makeshift stun bolts from a salvaged blaster. Cover left. Nail ducked, shielding Vieira. Almost there. They reached the service tunnel. Karen slid the panel open. They crawled through, dragging Vieira behind. Heat slammed into them from the surrounding walls. At the end, the hauler platform rumbled. "Get her in," Jiro barked. Vieira and Nail climbed into the rear chute. Karen followed. But a sniper round struck her shoulder. She screamed, dropping to one knee. "Karen! Go!" Nail reached for her, but Jiro yanked him back. "We don't have time." The hauler surged upward. As the cargo shaft closed behind them, Nail pressed Vieira to his chest, tears streaming down his face. She was alive. And they were not done yet. The wind off the coast of Silnath cut like glass as the rusted hauler landed beneath a veil of mist. Nail emerged first, carrying his mother against his side, the waves of salt stinging their worn faces. Jiro followed, guiding Karen, whose wounded shoulder was wrapped in scorched fabric. She gritted her teeth with every step but refused to slow down. Silnath hadn't changed. The towers of the capital still gleamed under synthetic moonlight. The same banners flew above the halls of justice. But something in Nail had shifted. And it made the world seem smaller. Thinner. More breakable. "We go to the council square," Nail said. "At dawn. We tell the truth. They'll arrest you," Karen warned. "And her." Nail turned to Vieira. She sat against a pillar of the shoreline outpost, eyes closed, breathing deeply. "If we stay silent, they win." Jiro crouched beside his gear pack. "I've reconstructed the full data core. Logs, audio files, even Draven's voice. We play it, and the public will know. But it won't be enough. Not unless she speaks." Vieira opened her eyes. The softness in them had not survived Karnas. "I will speak." Telora was released hours before sunrise. A city clerk found her on the edge of the detention grounds, confused and bruised. Someone paid her bail, the guard said. But they couldn't explain who. When Telora arrived at the square, Nail met her with trembling arms. "You're safe," he whispered. She smiled weakly. "You dragged the truth back into the world. Now let's give it legs." The people of Silnath rarely gathered in one place. But when morning came, and Vieira Solen walked onto the marble floor of the Grand Plaza, flanked by Nail, Jiro, Karen, and Telora, the crowd grew. Magistrate Alvin arrived with a procession of guards. He paused when he saw her, like he was seeing a ghost. "This is a breach of judicial protocol," he began. "You are fugitives and traitors." Nail raised the projection orb. Jiro activated it. And Draven's voice filled the square. "Don't worry about the engineer. We'll blame the system fault on her logs. No one will question it. Keep the siphon running. The military needs that hydroflow for the rift stations." Gasps swept through the crowd. Then came Vieira's voice. Recorded the night before her arrest. A calm, even tone describing the faults in the regulator system, the rising instability, the warnings she sent that were never answered. "They buried her," Nail shouted. "For telling the truth." Magistrate Alvin's face drained of color. These are fabrications. Inadmissible." Karen stepped forward. "Then why did your soldiers shoot us as we escaped from Karnas? Why did Colonel Draven falsify every one of her entries?" From behind Alvin, a figure moved. Colonel Draven. In full uniform, uninvited. His eyes were cold as moons. His left hand held a small device. Nail saw the flash of red and moved. "Gun." Jiro tackled Vieira. Karen drew her weapon with her good arm and fired. The device in Draven's hand exploded with sparks. He collapsed, stunned, as guards swarmed. For a moment, silence returned. Vieira stood. Bruised, shaking, but whole. "I gave my life to this city. To its water. To its people. They made me a villain because I caught them stealing life from all of us. Do not let them rewrite what happened. Not again. Cheers rose. And so did questions. Civic leaders approached. Reporters streamed in. And a call was sent to the Galactic Council to review the entire judiciary of Silnath. By nightfall, the banners above the halls of justice had been taken down. Nail sat beside Karen in the recovery dome. She winced as a medic adjusted her bandages. "You took a bullet for me," he said quietly. She grinned. "Wasn't for you. It was for the cause. You could have let me die. Didn't feel like it." Outside, Vieira and Telora addressed a crowd of thousands. Not as fugitives, but as survivors. As voices the system could no longer silence. Jiro returned the data core to Nail. "You started something," he said. "Don't stop now." Nail closed his fingers around it. The Silnath judicial complex had never seen such a crowd. Banners of a dozen guilds, civil unions, and reformist groups waved in the salt-heavy air as ships descended onto the floating platforms above the ocean city. Nail stood beside Vieira as the ship from the Galactic Council breached the clouds and descended slowly, its gleaming silver hull marked by the tri-star emblem of the sovereign judiciary. "You sure you're ready for this?" he asked her. Vieira touched his hand gently. Her fingers still trembled from the long weeks in Karnas, but her eyes held clarity. "They silenced me once. Never again." Behind them, Karen limped forward, her shoulder bound and healing. Telora had returned in ceremonial robes, her rank within the Planetary Engineers Guild fully reinstated. Jiro wore a surprisingly clean vest and had even trimmed his scraggly beard, though he grumbled about it the whole time. "Look at us," he said, adjusting his lens. "The revolutionaries cleaned up." Nail exhaled slowly. "It's not a revolution yet. But it's a start." When the council magistrates entered the public forum, silence fell. 4 of them in long silver coats, one central figure in indigo, Justice Overseer Lyanth. Her skin shimmered with the opalescent hue of the reefkin, and her voice resonated like echoing water. "Bring forth the testimony," she said. Nail stepped forward and activated the projection orb. Vieira's voice played again, not just the logs, but her statement at the square. She spoke of her years maintaining the life systems, of the moment she discovered the fault, of the silence from her superiors when she reported it. Then came the recordings of Colonel Draven, followed by Jiro's decrypted overlays showing forged timestamps, corrupted judicial records, and suppression orders issued under executive seal. Telora presented engineering data supporting Vieira's findings. Karen provided sworn testimony regarding the escape from Karnas. Finally, Nail spoke. His voice shook at first but grew stronger. "My mother taught me that truth matters more than comfort. She was betrayed by the very system she protected. If not for Jiro, Karen, and Telora, she would have died in the dark. Justice doesn't mean law. It means right. And we have to make the law mean something again." Justice Lyanth raised her hand. "We have heard enough. The council will deliberate." Hours passed. The plaza below hummed with tension. The people of Silnath waited. News outlets hovered in drones above. Speeches rang out over the water. And through it all, Nail sat quietly beside Karen on the stone steps. "You know," she said, leaning her head against his uninjured shoulder, "when I was in that mine, I never thought I'd see the sky again." Nail glanced down. "Neither did my mother. But you pulled her back. All of us." Nail chuckled softly. "Not alone. You're still young. You think things happen because of you. But this? This took all of us." He turned toward her. "What happens next? After this?" She looked out toward the horizon. "Whatever we make of it." The council returned as twilight fell. Justice Lyanth raised a silver scroll and read. In the case of Vieira Solen versus the judiciary of Silnath, the Galactic Council hereby rules, the defendant was wrongfully convicted, based on manipulated evidence and malicious intent. The conviction is vacated. Her record is cleared. Cheers erupted. Furthermore, Lyant continued, Colonel Draven will stand trial for crimes against civic infrastructure, falsification of legal documents, and conspiracy against a civilian. Alvin, who had tried to flee during deliberation, was escorted in chains. He didn't look at Nail. Didn't look at anyone. As of this day, Lyant concluded, we propose the Silnath statutes be amended. From now on, any capital case must be reviewed by an external board, with open audit logs and third-party oversight. Justice will no longer serve the powerful alone. Tears fell down Vieira's face as she collapsed into Nail's arms. It's over, she whispered. Nail held her. No, it's just beginning. In the following days, things changed quickly. Telora was promoted to lead advisor of Silnath's Civic Engineering Council. She dedicated her first speech to the ones who keep things running, unseen and unheard. Jiro vanished briefly, but reappeared on an independent data channel, broadcasting deep-dive exposés on civic corruption and defense profiteering. The hacker with a heart, they called him. Karen was granted full pardon and appointed to a new interplanetary oversight commission. Some called it ironic. I call it earned, she said, tightening her arm brace. And Nail? He wrote. His words flowed into articles, speeches, even a hollow documentary. He never called himself a hero. But he told the story. And one evening, as the sun dipped behind Silnath's reef towers, he sat beside Karen at the edge of a quiet cove. The waves shimmered with blue-gold plankton. The air smelled of salt and new beginnings. You staying? She asked. For now. Maybe longer. Good. I could use someone stubborn at my side. He took her hand. I'm not going anywhere. And as the stars rose above them, neither of them looked back.